From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, Adam Waheed, and director Ross Novie. With Gina Grad on news and Bald Bryan on sound effects. And now, a man who's never done a lot of listening, reflecting, or soul-searching. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to go on. The mandate, you get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
Handball, Brian.
He's the lead guest?
We are on episode 2999 today.
Let's end it right here.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
So tomorrow will be the 3,000th episode of this podcast. Jesus Christ, you blink. Where the hell did time go? So thank you guys for all listening for all these years and turning people on to the show. Let's see. Brian's got a Big Bear trip to report on. We got a Rich Banks song. We got some Dave Ramsey, financial analyst guy.
Oh, yeah.
Blowback from him. I have thoughts, and why don't we start with the Rich Banks song, Maxipata, which I don't even know what the theme is. The Crusade? No, the Crusaders? No, the
When you wake up,
Proclaimers. That's right.
well, you know there's gonna be a brand new podcast there for you. When you're driving, yeah, you know he's gonna be the voice who drives along with you. When you get down, well, you know there's gonna be a bit that he does just for you. And if you're angry, hey, you know there's gonna be a man who's angry just like you. Cause he produced 1,000 pods and then he did 1,000 more. Oh, and then this man just talked 1,000 pods, 3,000 podcast score. When he's working, well, you know there's gonna be like he's screwing up some food. And when his money goes out to the government, he'll rant how all Californians are screwed. When he comes home, oh, you know there's gonna be some drama with the kids and Phil. And then yoga, and you know he's gonna drink some liquor that is distilled. And then he'll talk 1,000 pods and then record 1,000 more. Because he is the man who dropped 3,000 pods that you don't pay for.
Well, I want to thank Rich Banks and Mike Lynch and superfan Giovanni for getting down on that song. Thank you guys very much. Got some COVID teacher thoughts, but we got Dave Ramsey. I just heard about the controversy. I don't know. To me, there's a lot of statements that aren't very controversial that are turning controversial. I think that's been the theme of the last few years, that kind of stuff your grandpa would say, which sounded very nuts and bolts, kind of, yeah, that makes sense. Now, if you say that kind of stuff out loud, it's a fucking hate crime. So Dave Ramsey, who I don't know much about, but I know he's a financial guy. I guess he was on Fox talking about how that $600 or $1,200 ain't gonna do you much, which is something we've talked about here. But here's this controversial statement.
Yeah. What do you believe is the right number or the right answer for the next stimulus check?
Well, I don't believe in a stimulus check, because if $600 or $1,400 changes your life, you were pretty much screwed already. You got other issues going on. You have a career problem, you have a debt problem, you have a relationship problem, you have a mental health problem. Something else is going on if $600 changes your life. And that's not talking down to folks. I've been bankrupt. I've been broken. I work with people every day who are hurting. I love people. I want people to be lifted up. But this is, again, it is just political rhetoric, and it's just throwing dollars out there. It's peeing on a forest fire.
All right. Well, if you're an adult or you're a family and you're waiting on that $600, maybe it's a gut check time.
Well, and there's no reason to disagree with that. I mean, you can look at that from both angles. And even if, this is obviously not the take he's taking, but if you're super into the stimulus check, you can say 600 isn't enough. 600 isn't going to change my life. So both would and should agree. And I've said this before to family. And I've had people say this to me, like, I was going to loan somebody $1,000 and they said, Gina, that's really nice, but I don't need $1,000. I need like $10,000. So this isn't going to make a difference, but I really appreciate your gesture. So this isn't controversial.
Well, you give a man a fish and he eats for a day, but you teach a man to fish for more money from one of their family members.
To do a fishing scam.
Yeah.
A pH fish.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We always kind of talk about the lost opportunity of COVID. We could have been, we've said two things. It's like, if you're morbidly obese and you have these pre-existing conditions or whatever, your diet's bad and you're not healthy, then you're going to get hit by this COVID harder. So we could have had a conversation about supplements and exercise and getting your health affairs in order, but we skimmed past that and went right to racism or that it's disproportionately affecting black and brown, or we went to economic arguments. And this is really the same opportunity to have this same discussion, which is, okay, fat person who's waiting on the government to give them $600 when you're 40 years old, we should have two conversations. A, why are you fat? And what can we do about that? And then B, why are you waiting on $600 from the government? Like, what didn't you do to prepare for you and your family to have your affairs in such a condition that this wasn't going to make or break you? These are two conversations we could have had. We've shut down and shamed anyone who fat shamed and spoke about being obese during this, or health, or general nutrition as it pertains to the pandemic. And now we're shutting down people that are saying, why is it that $600 is going to make or break you? Right. So I feel like this would have been an opportunity.
Yes, that's a fair question. That's not some. I mean, I don't know who would want to shut down that question, even if you aren't coming at it from his point of view. It's if I'm destitute and you're asking me how did you get yourself into a situation that $600 was going to make or break you? I would be really appreciative that you're willing to have that conversation with me, because that's the first step in me helping myself or getting help or whatever.
Well, don't you think that many of these subjects could be solved if you just want micro versus macro on them? Like, let's just say we're talking about your adult age children, and your adult age kid is bringing up a subject. Your adult age kid is saying, I'm worried about COVID, and they're morbidly obese. Don't you think you would say to your adult age kid, hey man, how about you go easy on the Hot Pockets? Like, how about you start focusing on your health a little?
I feel like it's been 18 years. We're still dealing with COVID.
And don't you think don't you think you should talk to your adult age kid about why $600 is going to make or break them? And you take something like voter ID or just ID. What if your adult age kid didn't have an ID living in America at age 35? Like, wouldn't you have a conversation about procuring an ID? Like, if you just took all these things, you brought it down to your adult age kid conversation, well, then you'd be a horrible parent not to say what Dave Ramsey just said to the people watching Fox. He was trending and the topic was trending, or he was trending because of that topic.
Yeah,
and
he was the number one topic. Some of the responses I tracked from Twitter, some of the most popular responses, at Tratchel420 said, Dave Ramsey's financial advice in a nutshell: already be rich.
Already be rich. That's what I heard clearly.
Yeah.
Everyone should already be rich. Yes.
And then Hal Sparks said, this one was popular too. Hi, dumb fuck Dave Ramsey. The $2,000 isn't there to, quote, change your life. It's there to keep your life from changing. So you don't end up homeless or dead or have to lose internet or heat or medications or starve during the pandemic. Fuck you, Dave Ramsey.
Thank you, hero Hal Sparks. All right, everyone's a fucking hero, but these things are patently true. And I think we've all probably had these conversations with family members or friends. I had a friend of mine years ago when I started doing pretty good in the writing and comedy and showbiz world, and I got myself up out of my original position and started doing okay. He was a dear friend from high school who was telling me about his bad luck, even though
in Northern California.
Yes, even though he's sober and fine and everything, and he was lamenting that he had this idea for a domain name. It was like some domain name, and he was going to get rich off the domain name.
The era checks out.
And it's so funny. It was like $600. It was like $1,200 to get the domain name. He had put up 600. He'd got some woman or somebody new to put up the 600. They were going to get this domain name. And then she screwed him by dropping the $600 and not going in on him. And his thing was like, what's wrong with her? And this is probably about the last time we spoke, but I said, what's wrong with you that you're 35 and don't have $1,200 to pursue your domain name?
Right, not folly, but like something you think is a good investment.
Yes. Why is it you've got to this ripe old age and you don't have that? And he didn't like that conversation. But those are the kinds of conversations we should be having with the people that are in these positions. And we could have, but we've somehow decided... I don't know. I don't know if the people who push back know it's true, but they're virtue signaling, or they don't believe it's true, or it's a kind of, soft bigotry of low expectations. Like you don't think other people are capable of having a job and socking away a little money for a rainy day. Yes, Gina.
Yeah. And that I would have jumped in before you said that last sentence, because that may negate what I was going to say. But for devil's advocate, then you think about people who are like, well, look, I'd love to work, but the state or the government has shut down my business. I'm not allowed to run my restaurant. I'm not allowed to run my boutique.
I'm a cook
blah, blah, blah.
or a bartender.
So, yeah, you're telling me to sit tight, sit on my hands, and lose my business because I can't pay my rent. For that, whatever, that boutique. So what am I supposed to do? Like, if you're taking away that opportunity because of COVID, then how is that person being compensated? And I guess they're not. They're screwed.
Yeah. First things first. Everyone needs to diversify. I've said this a million times. When they do that thing where it's like the GM plant closed down, I've said this a million times. The GM plant closed down. Now, only thing I'm qualified to do is work the grill at the McDonald's. It's like, well, you're 45. Maybe you should be qualified to do more than work the grill at McDonald's. Plants close down. Shit happens. Mills close. Mines close. We're constantly evolving. We're moving pretty fast as a society. You're going to need to, A, put some money away, but then B, kind of have some plans. I mean, shit goes down. Have the same plan you might have for an earthquake or for floods or the power being out for 4 days. Have some water. Have some dry goods. So we're going to talk to Ross Novie, who's trying to spearhead the Open the Schools campaign in Los Angeles. I've heard this guy on the radio before, but the thing that's kind of interesting is Jake Tapper on CNN did a nice interview of Rochelle Dr. Rochelle Walensky on his show over the weekend. And this is the same woman who 2 weeks ago said it was safe to open the schools. Mm-hmm. She's now backpedaling. She's going the other direction. Yes, she's going the other direction, and she's doing the circle talk. And Jake, and again, listen, teachers and unions and politicians, when you start to lose the Jake Tappers of the world, it's fucking gut check time, man. It means you already had the entire right against you. Now you're getting a large portion of the left that's turning against you, and maybe it's time to start thinking about opening up. So what they've done, it's kind of an interesting thing. They've gone back to this color code thing, and I told you, beware the color code thing, because what they do is they put the color code thing in, and then they go, we can't open the schools until we get to yellow, and because they designed the color code, we'll never get to yellow. Right. So then you say to them, how come we can't open the schools? And they go, well, we can when we get to yellow, except for we're never getting to that next color.
That's what that means.
Yeah. I heard that under their authority or under their matrix or metrics, the entire country would be in red if you just went that way, and none of the schools would be open. But I'll play a little clip of Tapper. Now, this is the same person that 2 weeks ago said it was safe. So she said it was safe to open the school 2 weeks ago. Then the Biden press secretary said, well, she was just speaking. That was just her own words. It
didn't reflect policy.
She's the head of the CDC, and she was speaking at a CDC event with the CDC banner behind her, but those were just her own personal thoughts. She may have been drunk.
Writing in her diary.
Yeah, that was just pillow talk with the CDC lady.
They let a lot of people share their personal thoughts during this.
Right.
Yeah, they just called people up and just shared personal thoughts.
So Jake's going to ask some questions, and we'll see what her answers are.
You have said, quote, schools should be the last thing to close and the first thing to open, unquote. Should all students be back in classrooms before the end of this school year?
Good morning, Jake. Thanks for having me again. Really, what we have said in our guidance is that the amount of classroom activity really depends on the amount of spread in the community. We know that the amount of disease in the community is completely reflected as to what's happening in school. If there's more disease in the community, there will be more in school, and that most disease in school does not come from in-school transmission, but comes from outside into the community. So what we would advocate for is to have more kids in school as our community spread comes down.
Well, but what's the science? Because you have said there's, not just you, but Dr. Fauci, others have been saying for months that the schools should be open as long as there's masking and cleansing and social distancing, everything that we talked about. And there are a lot of people out there watching who think, like, I thought the science said we should open the schools as long as we take those safety steps. We're taking the safety steps, and we're not opening the schools.
Yeah, so there are numerous research studies that have demonstrated that if with universal masking and 6 feet of distancing and de-densification of the classrooms, that it's possible to get schools back safely. With all of that happening, 92% of people in those studies were masked. We have other data that was just published in CDC's MMWR that demonstrate that somewhere around 60% of students are reliably masking. That has to be universal. So we have work to do, especially when the country remains in the red zone of high community transmission. As that transmission comes down, we'll be able to relax some of these measures. But the real point is to make sure that the science is consistent with our guidance, which is consistent to say until we can ensure that we have all those measures happening, that the schools wouldn't be safe.
I'm just really confused. It seems to me like you're saying the schools are safe to open as long as everybody takes these steps, but not everybody's taking these steps, therefore we're not going to open the schools. Do I have that right?
Well, we need to make sure that all of those steps are happening, and it's masking, it's distancing, it's potting and cohorting of the younger children. It is, cleaning of surfaces, it's hand washing, and it's contact tracing and diagnostic testing in an efficient manner in collaboration with departments of public health. Not all schools are able to do all of those things right now, and many of those schools are in red zones. So we need to make sure that as we come out of the red zones and do our part as a society to get down from red to lower rates of transmission. And we need to do the work to get all of those mitigation strategies up and running in all of these schools. The American Rescue Plan has resources, $130 billion of resources to facilitate and help schools get there. And that's really why we're pushing for the rescue plan, so that we can facilitate getting those schools all of those mitigation measures so that they can open safely.
All right. So why Jake is confused is because Jake thinks she would like to reopen schools and can't figure out why she doesn't want to reopen schools, because he's assuming that's the goal. But evidently that is not the goal. Certainly she's changed her mind from 2 weeks ago when she said it was safe to reopen schools. So what's going on?
She did seem a little defensive when it came to the jargon. I mean, there's not a human being in this country that doesn't know about, it hasn't heard wear a mask and practice social distance. She came up with a laundry list of tech terms like demitigation of what? This isn't as hard as...
What was the one that basically meant less kids in the classroom?
Yeah, that was it.
It was something declustering or something like that.
Yeah,
Right.
it just seems like that's something you say when you want someone to stop asking you about it.
Yeah. So there's a little thought experiment I always think about, which is, what if teachers wanted to go back? How fast would the schools be open?
They'd find a way.
They'd find a way, just like everyone else. And then here's another Dixie Riddler. What other profession are we begging everyone to go back to work and won't go back to work? Is there by the way, these are the heroes. These are the heroes we've been begging to go back to work and refuse to go back to work. Thank you, heroes. Maybe we should just downgrade them from hero to just citizen. At a certain point, I think we get to confiscate the cape and the mask and the unitard if, in fact, you have to relinquish your hero status if, in fact, you refuse to go back to work because you're fucking cowards. The teachers' unions are running everything. They got to the Biden administration. They told them, tell the fucking CDC bitch to walk it back. Because we've been saying follow the science, but we don't want to go back to work. So we can't have this CDC bitch saying it's safe to go back to work because we're supposed to follow the science. So get her out there and have her change her tune from last week. And that's what's going on.
Seems to be saying, like, here are the standards, whatever, this, and this, but not everyone's following the standards, so what can we do?
Right. Which
that's kind of where it ends.
I would say that would be true in every job there is, right? You could say, well, it's important to reopen supermarkets. Hey, we want to open the supermarkets, but a lot of people aren't wearing the mask properly. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And we need social distancing, and some of those people at the checkout line are ignoring the 6-foot distances. Yes, this is a universal truth. Mm-hmm. There shall be a percentage of this with every job. There's you go on any commercial airline flight, at any given time, there's Mike August with the mask around his chin eating a burrito. Okay, he's not following the guidelines as clearly as we'd like him to follow the guidelines. This is a universal truth. So that being said, since it's true in the airline industry and it's true in the supermarket industry and the fast food industry, since it's a universal truth in every industry, then get the fuck back to work. They don't want to go back to work. Right. I've been screaming about teachers not being heroes for 10 years and getting a ton of shit for it. I think I stood correct on that one. Also, I was laughing with Dr. Drew about it. Most teachers do not want to go back to work, or maybe it's just the union that doesn't want to go back to work. But I bet the shop teachers are fine going back to work. I bet
the last 12.
I bet the last guys that taught auto shop or metal or wood, I bet those heroes are ready to go back. She did this thing as I was talking to Max Zapata. One of my favorite scenes from the movie Fargo's when William H. Macy was doing the circle talk about getting the invoice. Because what it is she doesn't want to go back. The unions don't want to go back. I don't know what their thing is, but they don't want to go back to work. So they're having to do a circle talk every time someone like Tapper, who did a nice job, going, hey, the sign says it's safe. I don't get it. When are you going back to work? She did the William H. Macy on the phone with the GM Finance. We'll play you that clip. Makes me laugh.
Mr. Lundegaard, this is Riley Diefenbach from GMAC. How are you this morning?
Real good. How you doing?
Pretty good, Mr. Lundegaard. You're damn hard to get on the phone.
Yeah, it's pretty darn busy here, but that's the way we like it.
Well, that's for sure. Now, I just need on these these financing documents that you sent us, I can't read the serial numbers of the vehicles.
Yeah, but I already got it's okay. The loans are in place. I already got the
Yeah, the 320,000. You got the money last month.
Yeah, so we're all set then.
Yeah, but the vehicles that you're borrowing on, I just can't read the serial numbers on your application. Maybe if you could just read them.
Yeah, but the deal's already done. I already got the money.
Yes. We have an audit here. I just have to know that these vehicles you're financing with this money, that they really exist.
Yeah, well, they exist, all right.
No, I'm sure they do. But I can't read the serial numbers here, so if you could read me some...
Yeah, but, see, I don't have them in front of me. Why don't I just fax you over a copy?
No, fax is no good. That's what I have, and I can't read the darn thing.
Okay, I'll have my girl send you a copy then.
Okay, because if I can't correlate this note with the specific vehicles, then I gotta call back that money.
Yeah, how much money was that?
320,000. I gotta correlate that money with the cars it's being lent on.
Yeah, okay, no problem. I'll just fax that right over to you.
No, fax is...
I mean, send it over. I'll shoot it right over to you then.
Okay, fine.
Okay, real good then.
Poor Jerry.
I love this movie. All right.
It's like one of 3 times he does that in the movie.
They don't want to go back. I'm still confused. I know it's a union thing. I suspect it's if you stop paying them, they would go back and gave them a little motivation to go back, but they don't want to go back. We're coming up on a year here in Los Angeles. 1 year of kids not going to school. And I also, I keep circling back to the age part of this whole thing. It's a two-way street. We, from Jump Street, should have focused on age and danger as it pertains to COVID. We didn't do that. So what we didn't do is we didn't focus on the vulnerable, elderly, retirement homes and the hospitals or the nursing homes and all that. We didn't do that because we didn't want to go, it's primarily hitting old people. Mm-hmm. So we got all fucked up, and we did send a lot of folks back into the nursing homes, and a lot of folks died because we didn't really do an age focus. And now we're doing the exact same thing with the kids. The kids aren't in danger. I don't know how the disease works, but it just doesn't fuck with 13-year-olds. It just doesn't. Not to the extent, and not near the extent it does to the elderly. So what we did by not focusing on age is we fucked up the seniors. Now we're fucking up the kids. If we'd understood and done a decent job, and I suspect we did understand, but it wasn't something anyone wanted to talk about. It's not something that was on the news. If we'd really been smart about it and said, okay, who's most vulnerable? People over 70. Good. Let's focus a lot of attention and resources on those people and the facilities they're in. And then who's not vulnerable? Kids. Good. Let's open the schools. The kids are vulnerable, but they're not vulnerable to this. They're vulnerable to depression and drugs and abuse and all the things that come from sitting home for a year. Right. We could have done the math on the age of the people that were affected by this and not affected by this, and then we could have set policy based on the age. That's why I was going nuts yelling about everyone's age in March. And when you look at the numbers, It's staggering. I mean, the numbers, the percentage of being killed by COVID from, age 3 to 9 or something, it's minuscule. It's just minuscule. 9 to 18, it's nothing. It's statistically nothing. And then when you get over 70, 75, 80, it just keeps going up hard in that direction. So we could have done it. We could have saved the old people in the old homes, and we could have had fucking schools open, but we didn't want to do that because we wanted general panic. We wanted overall general panic, and the way to do the overall general panic is not to say the kids aren't in danger, because that doesn't create a lot of panic. So nice job, everybody.
And then you mentioned the kids sitting at home and the psychological damage. Not just that, not just the sitting at home, but like think about how important your senior year of football was to you, or just your prom. You know what I mean? Like these in retrospect, maybe they don't seem so important. Well, the football to you, of course, but like in retrospect, hey, Gina, like our prom was kind of whatever. But like that, your life is leading up to that for 4 years. Like your senior prom, the graduation parties, the whole thing. Like these are milestones for 17, 18 year olds. The biggest event of their life to that point.
You're right. And if I had missed playing Miss Hannigan in Annie, something would have gotten lit on fire. I would have burned the house down.
I felt the same about football. And there's also studies that when kids miss a year, essentially, they don't come back a year behind. They'll come back like 3 years behind because there's a kind of continuation of things and you've broken the chain.
Oh. Just think about after summer break. I knew nothing. I'd forgotten everything for the previous year. I felt like I was starting 2 years before.
All right, teachers unions, maybe just give up the fucking ghost, heroes. How about that? Like everyone else has. I'm actually curious. I was saying it to Max Zapata, like, who have we begged to go back to work that won't go back to work? Pilots are back to work, and flight attendants are back to work, and the guys working behind the scenes in the kitchens and the grills and the fast foods and the Trader Joe's and the markets and the truckers. Like, who's not back to work other than the heroes? Ugh.
I thought about this over the weekend because we went to the first rule of economics, right? Is people respond to incentives, and what is a business but people who want to make money. So of course they're going to respond to an incentive, and if it's like, hey, you can reopen with these guidelines or with these modifications or whatever, they'll figure it out. They'll figure out a way. Whether it's an airline or we went to a coffee shop up in Big Bear this weekend, and they were open, but no one was sitting inside, no indoor seating. They only allowed one customer in at a time, one family or customer or whatever, and everyone else had to wait outside. And I'm thinking to myself, this is the price of doing business. This is what they must do to be in business, and to them it's worth it. And that's the only way to make money.
Well, it's a very good point, which is you take two donut shops and you tell one donut shop, look, you're not going to make a penny unless those doors are open. So here's what you need to do to open your doors. And they immediately snap into action.
Yeah, exactly.
You tell the other donut shop, oh, no, you're going to get paid when you're at home. You'll get paid whether we open the donut shop or not. You can make some donuts or talk about donuts via Zoom from home, but you're going to get paid. Then you go to that second donut shop after 6 months and you go, I don't get it. How come you're not open? And they go, a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
We got it. By the way, we're a year into this. Do we really need the fucking nut jobs going, look, you got to wear a mask? You need 6 foot? Yes. All the shit everyone has known for an entire year. I got it. Don't keep telling us what you have to do. Start doing it and open your fucking door.
Right.
Ugh. But again, look, I think 3 or 4 months ago, people thought it was a little dubious. Like, well, they want to go back to work, but they want to go back when it's safe. I mean, they understand. They want to go. They're teachers. They want to teach. But they want to make sure that there's an abundance of caution, blah, blah, blah. Isn't it clear now they don't want to go back to work?
Well, and to that end, I have friends who are teachers who are back at work because they're in private school, and the precautions have been taken and they're doing well. And my friend is so happy to be doing it back with where all of her stuff is and where she can see the kids.
Yeah, shouldn't these be models for what we should do? Private schools?
Florida never closed their schools. Never closed.
So they'll catch up to us any day.
They seem to be okay. That's all we need is a bunch of smart Floridians. We're fucked now. You understand that, people?
We did it to ourselves.
We did it to ourselves. When Florida becomes essentially our overlords because we're also retarded because no one's gone to school and they come over and start dictating policy, we are fucked. All right.
Idiocracy, when the guy becomes the smartest man in the world just by default. Everyone else got dumber.
They're going to demand wet T-shirt contests. It's going to be awful.
Like Florida State's going to knock off Harvard and Brown and Yale's the #1 learning institute in the world. Right. Oh, my God. People from MIT are going to be trying to transfer to become a Seminole. All right. Well, there you have it. We'll talk to Ross Novie about it in a second because he's trying to get the party restarted with the schools. And yes, I do believe, and here's the fucked up part. I do believe that your average teacher would like to go back to work. It's the teachers' unions who don't want to go back to work, and it's the teachers' unions who are working closely with the politicians and not going back to work. So the thing that sucks is you're a teacher in LA and you're kind of getting thrown under the bus here because I'm calling you a coward, but many of them would like to go back to work, but they can't go against the union.
I have a stupid question. Whoever the head of the teachers union is, like say in LA County, I don't, whatever. Are they teachers? They're not current employees.
They're probably
school,
once
right?
per teacher,
right.
I would imagine.
So
sometimes,
the skin in the game, I would imagine, is a little different.
Although maybe you're head of the union, you don't have to have a teacher, credential at all. It's just got to be a good business person, negotiator.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk all about Ross Novie in a second. First, I'll tell you about the Amazon Pharmacy. Save time. Amazon Pharmacy delivers your medication directly to your door. No more waiting in line at the pharmacy. Easy. God, the last time I actually went into a pharmacy, I had that one guy in front of me, and you think, oh, one guy, not bad, but he's ordering. It's like the one guy goes on the lunch run for the entire soccer team.
Yeah.
Like
this is multiple orders.
Yeah, this guy was getting medication for everyone's Nana in the La Cañada area. Easy to have your doctor's office send over the next prescription straight to the pharmacy. Works with most insurance plans nationwide. I love this service because you don't have to go in and stand behind that guy anymore. Amazon Prime members can save on prescription medications when not using insurance and get free 2-day delivery. Learn more at amazon.com/AdamRx. That is amazon.com/AdamRx. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll keep the actually, Ross is kind of interesting because he's a writer, director, producer, and he's worked on a lot of funny shows. Entourage, The Office, It's Always Funny in Philadelphia, Arrested Development, The Muppets. Lots of good shows. But we'll keep the theme going, figure out how to reopen the schools right after this.
And now, a tip from the 1965 issue of Good Housekeeping. 120 ways to please a man.
Take your husband along when you shop, but be sure to brief yourself thoroughly beforehand about brands, features, and the general run of prices. Big appliances are a major and long-term investment. It makes a man uneasy to think his wife may not know what she's buying.
Just one of 120 ways to please a man. Now back to the Adam Carolla Show.
Oh, the salad days of this country. Ross Novie, writer, director, producer, now activist, is on the blower with us, the nonpartisan campaign group, LA School Uprising. I think I heard you on John and Ken maybe a week ago. So first, let's just set the table with you. You're not an educator, not involved with that system, but you have kids that are in school or should be in school. But so how old are your kids?
Well, I believe they're similar to your kids' ages. Mine are 14 and 16.
Yeah.
So
I
have a 14-year-old boy. Yeah, I have a 14-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl. So the son hasn't stepped foot on campus as a freshman, and the daughter is, not doing great as a 16-year-old girl trapped in her house all the time. So it's not great.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to note that my kids were supposed to have their first year of high school, and they've not had their first year of high school.
I'm realizing this is the great unifier, is having kids, like teenage kids, school-age kids, is going to bring all. I imagine Jake Tapper has teenage kids. People getting fired up about this because the kids are hanging around the house. They want them out.
So you work in the entertainment industry. Lots of great, like I said, Entourage, The Office, some of my favorite shows, Arrested Development. So how do you get into the sort of activist role?
Well, first of all, I got to say, I'm thrilled to be on your show, but it kind of tells me like how crazy things have gotten that to reopen schools, I was like, well, maybe Adam Carolla and Rob Schneider can help me reopen schools. Like that's where we're at. Because I'm like trying to find allies anywhere.
Sounds like a Mad Lib.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but it made sense. You were talking about it, which so many people aren't. And I appreciated that. And I was like, well, I gotta, I'm trying to collect this sane of us together. I was part of the team. I work on Superstore right now. And so I was part of the production team that got us back to filming at Universal. And so what we did is, first my union, the Directors Guild, worked with employers to figure out how to get us back to work. And then we did walkthroughs and safety meetings and we had questions. And as we were doing this over the summer, I saw the schools were doing none of this, like as if they expected 600,000 kids to show up on a Tuesday and just go to school. They weren't doing any of it. So I knew right away we were just dead meat because you need to get people comfortable. There's so much fear. You have to walk people through it. You have to get teachers Zooming from classrooms and bringing people to even meet their teachers, outdoor classes. There's a million ways to do it, but they weren't trying. They weren't trying to make it happen. They were clearly just finding reasons why it was too difficult or it was going to be impossible.
Yeah, it's weird. I think we've all experienced that in life where you think the motivation, you think you and your employee or you and your kid or you and your wife or you and your whoever are on the same page. We're like, well, here's what we both want, right? But at a certain point, it becomes apparent it's not what they want. It's abundantly clear that it's not what they want because you guys who work in the private sector want to get the fuck back to work. You want to get paid. You want to get back to work. You want to get into this production. And the production is perfect because you have to film on a sound stage. You have many moving parts. And so you go about it like any entity would go about it. Like we need to talk about it. We need to figure it out. There's going to be some mistakes along the way. There could be some setbacks, but the goal is to get back into production. I don't think their goal is to get back into production.
No, and production's harder than a classroom. We have extras and actors without masks and
people coming and going.
Yeah, I mean we're there for 12 hours a day. We have to figure out testing and this and that. So you just figure it out because, like you said, otherwise I don't eat. Like I got to do it. If otherwise, why would I go back? Also, I'd be sitting back and everyone makes up excuses. But like all of these writers who don't need to go back and they go like, oh well, why don't we just stay home and Netflix and chill? Well, you don't have to go back with your job. But those of us with real jobs that have to go out in the real world, who have been having to shop in grocery stores with workers who have to be there, you don't accept that as an option because I'm going to wait for the government to pay for my life for the next 2 years.
Well, it's a simple equation for me, which is let's just do a little reverse engineering. Are teachers essential? Now, if you would have asked them that a year ago, they would have said, we're the most essentialist. Kids are the future. We shape the future. We are essential. I don't think anyone would have argued, COVID or not, if teachers were essential. They'd say, yeah, teachers and firemen and cops, these are essential members of our community. So you are essential. Good. We've established that. Everyone else who's essential is back to work. What's your excuse? Or shall we strip you of your title of essential hero? Maybe we should downgrade you.
It's been stripped. I think it's been downgraded. I mean, how do you react to a crisis? If you're essential, you step in. I mean, you would think the level of heroism you'd want is, even if I'm at risk, I'm going to go back because the kids need me. Like that feels like level 1 heroism, right? But we're like so far down.
We're like,
standard.
We had this, the standard for hero was while everyone else was running away from the burning building, you were running toward it. The teachers are running toward a Pinkberry. They're not even running away from. They're not even in the neighborhood of the fucking burning building. So what does your organization do, and then what can we do to try to apply this pressure?
Yeah, well, we're parents, like you said. We're nonpartisan, grassroots. We're just parents who are sick and tired of all this. So we're trying everything we can, from email campaigns we did phone calls to all of our local officials, which was shocking because a lot of them didn't seem to even have a position on this, like as if this was the first time it was being brought up. Especially the state officials.
The greatest lament, the most disappointing. There's two. As a young person, there are two things you can look forward to be disappointed in when you get older. When you talk to your sports heroes and you start talking to them about guys who played in the league 10 minutes before they were there and they've never heard of them. They have no idea who Mike Ditka is. You know what I mean? Like an all-star.
Or that he played.
Yeah, he's that grizzled coach who smokes cigars. He didn't play tight end. I play tight end. All right. So there's that. But the other part is when you speak to politicians about problems, it's not that they ignore you. It's that they've never heard of the problems.
Right.
That's the devastating part. That's the weird part. It's a weird disconnect they have. I've talked to Gavin Newsom about traffic and about graffiti and trash, and he had no idea. He just really didn't know what I was speaking of.
Yeah, some of these state officials, they literally didn't have a position on it. I'm like, you don't have a position on the largest educational crisis in the history of the country? Okay. Well, maybe this will generate an idea for you. So we actually did a car rally this morning outside the Kenneth Hahn building downtown, which we had head of pediatrics for UCLA speak, and the archdiocese superintendent, and a lot of diverse people talking, and people were driving around and honking. And it's going to be on the news tonight. And that was with another organization. And,
the Student First Coalition.
Correct. So they're for private and parochial. So we're combined. We're combined with doctors. We're combined with the Open Schools California, a statewide group. So it's just reaching out to everyone and letting people know that parents are upset. And when we get upset, it's like the sleeping bear. I mean, I don't want to schlep downtown for a car rally. I'm not a guy who likes hanging signs and waving them. Like, that's not my thing. It's just like, let's get things done and move on.
Well, first off, for everyone who opposes school choice, vouchers and whatnot, has there ever been a better argument for school choice or for a little diversification of not being mobbed up with the teachers' unions and then at their mercy? Wouldn't it be nice if there were some alternatives and some competition out there? And if we had more competition out there in the school department, it would put pressure on LA Unified and Chicago and wherever else who didn't want to open up either to open up because their competitors were up and running. Yes, Bryan.
Ross, I'm sorry, I'm ignorant on this issue. Are private schools universally opened in LA? Is it hit and miss? How is that working?
It's hit and miss. They were able to ask for waivers in some cases, especially kindergarten through second grade. Some of them are doing workarounds with like day camps in the guise of it. But they're not open either. And that's why they're fighting also, is because a lot of them spent millions of dollars to upgrade their facilities and they're still not allowed to open, according to Barbara Ferrer and the Department of Health, and everyone's pointing fingers at each other. It's like when I call AT&T, like, I don't care what department has to fix my phone, just fix my phone. Like, I don't need to start getting into the political machinations and this and that and the state. I don't care. Just open the damn schools.
And in the micro and macro, stop kicking the problem back to me. Like you said, I don't care how you fix it. Just fix it and tell me when it's done.
What is right? I know. Many months ago, Trump said reopen the schools. So that was probably strike number one for all the blue states reopening schools. And then DeSantis in Florida, who everyone hates, has reopened the schools or never closed the schools, and it worked out good. How much of this is just about sort of willing themselves right or pushing back against the folks they disagree with politically? How much of this is political? Because it doesn't feel practical. To me, it feels like there's something else at work here.
It was political until I think Trump left office, and so that was actually very helpful in a blue state like this, that people could segment the idea from it being political and Trump favoring it. But you talk to LA people, they aren't aware that like everyone else has opened around the world and in other states and doing it fine. They're always like, but how do we do it? I'm like, I don't know, call Miami. They've been doing it the whole time. New York, Chicago, like all the big districts are opening now, except for us. And we're constantly like navel gazing, like, I don't know how to do it. This seems really tough. It's like, yeah, it's okay. Italy, France, Spain, UK, they've all opened up almost the entire time. Or if they close, it's very brief. We're the only like crazy people.
know. I don't know why. Why does California have to be so fucked up? Why can't we have an ounce of pragmatism?
Is this a negotiating tactic by LAUSD, by the teachers union? Like, I'm trying to make some sense of the obstinance, it seems like. And is this like a negotiating thing? Are they trying to get a better deal or something?
I don't know if they're trying to destroy the union movement in this country, because basically they have a losing position ultimately, because cases are going down, vaccines are going around. Eventually, they're going to just lose any leverage, but they pay. The LAUSD is the second largest employer in LA County. It's like $8 billion budget or something. It's massive. And they haven't laid anyone off. They have bus drivers going around doing gardening, to protect jobs. And so they're just protecting their little fiefdom. And that's kind of what it is. So they can call the shots, and every politician needs their money. And so even if I was going to say, so you'd think, just say kids should be educated. Like, we're arguing kids should be educated. But they can't make that stand because they're afraid they'll never get elected to anything else again. So they can't make that easy claim, that philosophical, I believe kids should get educated.
Yeah, the politicians can't go against the unions because they're such big contributors.
But what about when Barbara Ferrer said, we will take a much closer look at this after the election, as though the virus would be lifted. Of course, now everyone's talking about there's new variants, we don't know, new variants. But there's a New York Times podcast that a woman, the reporter for them, even says, new variants aside, we're not talking about the new variants. There is, I think there was I think I told you about this earlier. There's a 4% difference in COVID cases from the schools being open and schools being closed. 4%, not 44. So it made no difference?
I mean, come on. What has she gotten right in terms of any of this messaging? She's gotten people freaked out. I got 90-year-old neighbors across the street. They haven't left their house in 11 months. I got to go shopping for them. They don't even want to get the vaccine because they don't want to leave the house to maybe get it. Oh, yeah. And I know plenty of normal people who are used to be normal who don't leave their house. And so you have all this fear in the system. So you can tell all the data you want, but if someone can stay in their house and they're afraid, that's it. Like, that's why you don't do this. That's not public health. You don't scare people. And then people don't listen to you anyway. And then they just do whatever they're going to do.
I was talking to Dr. Drew about this because my theory from Jump Street has been, just from my own observations, the people I know who work in the tangible world, the people who you have to assign danger a sort of a 1 to 10 probability number. If you work around a bandsaw, you have to approach it in a certain way, but you can't ignore it, but you also can't say no using bandsaws because you need the bandsaw for your job. So all the folks that I know that work in kind of the tangible world, these are the truck drivers, the carpenters, the metal workers, the guys doing construction, the high-rise guys, the steel guys. They seem to have a proper relationship with fear and danger because it's a daily thing for them. There's no way the average airline pilot is nearly as scared of COVID as the average college student, right? Because the folks that work in the digital world, in the sort of ethereal world, the invisible world, they don't have any relationship with fear. They're not calibrated correctly. And I would argue that school teachers live in that world. They live in a sort of theoretical world. They live in a world of ideas and information, and they all went to college. So those people are sort of predisposed for fear. It's the people. It's, again, the difference between a shop teacher and an interpretive dance teacher in terms of their fear, even if they went to the same school in the same district and worked a classroom apart from one another, you'd have a completely different relationship with the shop teacher than you would with the interpretive dance teacher. So I think you have a group that is predisposed for fear, youngish, college educated, and kind of working in a world that's a non-tangible world. Because I would assume, like in your profession, The least scared are probably the grips and the carpenters and the lighting guys and the gaffing guys, like the nuts and bolts. We have to go to work. We have to put wood together. We have to hang this lighting grid up or whatever. In my experience, the nuts and bolts people have the least concern about this. But your thoughts, Ross?
No, 100%. And I mean, it's about proper risk assessment. And that's part of my job on set is safety. And you're absolutely right. The crafts people who have to deal with making those judgment calls you have to be real about those judgment calls. You can't just be scared of what could be. And, I've been looking at the data. People go like, oh, well, you're okay sending your kids to school. There have been two kids under 18 who have died with COVID the entire time of the pandemic in LA County. So there's been two. And they both had really severe medical conditions. So it was the COVID maybe with the other thing. So we don't like that. That's terrible that a kid dies. But we get 8 to 10 kids who die of pneumonia every year. So what are we doing? Like it's statistically zero. We've had like 5,000 people over 80 die, 2 under 18. So it's not a risk to the kids at all, is the fact. Even when they talk about this long COVID, it's functionally zero.
Right.
What we care about is the teachers. It's the teachers and the families. So great. They don't have to go. Like if you have a medical condition, you shouldn't be in school. Great. I get that. It's optional. If you have a family at home, get that. But for the majority of kids, it's safe to go. And then you have the mitigation. I mean, it's like everywhere else.
Well, like I said, the seniors dying versus the 2 kids dead, nothing was ever reported that way. There was no context. No one ever worked on the numbers of the ages. They just spread the panic. They just spread the fucking panic, and they got everyone thoroughly freaked out. And now the heroes don't want to do their job. Where can we send people, Ross?
The website is laschooluprising.com. And we have an I do these memes that I guess like people are putting on digital billboards around the state now. That's on our Instagram, LA School Uprising. And then I'd love to, if it's possible, if either you or you were talking about how do we get society to put the pressure on your Wednesday podcast.
Yes, fuck all these fucking actors and comedians and truth tellers who won't get near this because they don't want to get near this subject. Fucking pussies, fuck you.
So if you have a coalition of the strong, I'd love to talk further and see if there's a way we can.
Nobody agrees with me. They're all fucking cowards. They're all fucking pussies.
I got walking up the wrong tree.
I'm a coalition. I'm a coalition of one, bitch. That'd be the next good Marine Corps saying, right?
Coalition of one.
We got to put the bitch at the end too. Yes. Fuck these Hollywood people. They're such fucking cowards. They're such fucking cowards. They won't go near it.
It's such a layup. It's such a layup.
I wonder if the sort of, I wouldn't even call it dirty little secret, but like, the actors and the power players and the people you'd want are very rich and they live in certain parts of town where I'm guessing their kids go to private schools and they aren't affected by this. Like they're not, people respond to incentives. We just said that they're not incentivized. Their kids are going to private school. They're getting tutored. They're taken care of. We're all good.
What about their principals? What about
It's almost as if, now stay with me, they don't have any?
I wish it was that, Brian. I feel like it's all optics, and somehow this thing got politicized, and the people who wanted kids to go back to school became MAGA hat wearing, or Viking hat wearing thugs, and the other group are on the right side of history, and they're so sensitive. Hollywood is so sensitive to all that shit that they've just stayed out of this one. There's no voices. And we're talking about kids, for Christ's sake. And we're talking about little black and brown kids who they never stop fucking crowing about caring for. They've completely remained on the sidelines in silence during this whole thing. And or I should say silent during this whole thing. And I do believe that if the tastemakers would start stepping it up on Twitter, we could pressure the unions into going back of enough. But we're not going that direction. We just had the lady from the CDC, reverse course and basically explain that this wasn't going to happen. So, and I here's what I believe. It's a simple equation. 99% of Hollywood is left. And this has become some sort of left-right thing, and they don't want to end up with Gina Carano, so they're not going to fucking pipe up because it's their people, Newsom and the like, that are shutting down the whole fucking thing, and they're not going to go against their own people. That's why they're silent. That's why the people who never stop yammering about everything all the time, silent. Silent, complete silence from Hollywood, and they never fucking stop bloviating about everything all the time. So isn't it deafening, their silence? Shouldn't we be hearing something? Shouldn't Mark Ruffalo be putting out a tweet? Nothing. They're scared.
480,000 black and brown kids who are not in school and will never catch up. And my wife sees them on Zoom classes. Kids are Zooming from closets. Their workplaces,
right?
When they check in, which half the time they don't even show up.
But think about the Hollywood hypocrisy. You get 185 kids in the border that are being detained in cages, and they never stop bloviating about that, right? But you got 400,000 brown and black kids in the city they live in, and they don't give two shits. And they want us to listen to them when the next social issue comes up. Fuck you very much. That's going to be my Marine Corps thing.
That's the other Marine Corps slogan.
Ross, thank you very much. You can go to laschooluprising.com, and hopefully if we can get enough pressure on these people, we can reopen these schools. My son will be upset. He's having the time of his life playing video games as we speak.
But all day long. That's all he does.
All
That's
fucking day long.
does.
Ross Novie, thank you very much for joining us, my friend.
Thanks for your time.
All right, let me hit Geico. Do you own? Do you rent? Well, you do one or the other. How about you bundle that up with your automotive policy? You take your automotive policy and your homeowners or renters insurance. You put it together. Geico makes it easy. You can get a quote. See just how much you could be saving. It's Geico easy. So visit geico.com and find out just how easy it is to bundle. All right, let's see. We got Adam Waheed. Adam Waheed is an actor, social media content creator, influencer. Maybe we can get him to open these schools up. Yeah. Also makes short films and all the above. Take a quick break. We'll be back with Adam right after this.
Adam Carolla's I'm Your Emotional Support Animal, navigating our all-woke, no-joke culture, has over 1,000 5-star reviews on Amazon. Here's one.
This book is present in comedy and wisdom. This Adam wrote months ago, the now coming to pass and reality.
Yep. Sounds about right. Pick up I'm Your Emotional Support Animal, navigating our all-woke, no-joke culture, and leave your 5-star review on Amazon. Get all the links at adamcarolla.com.
Adam Waheed is our guest, actor, social media content creator, influencer as well. His website, youtube.com/Adam W. I just watched a very funny, very short, but very thorough bit about sitting in the emergency row in the airplane. Good to see you, Adam.
Good to see you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
My
Great
pleasure.
Name.
One thing I'm very intrigued in, it's all the way at the bottom of your bio, but I was reading about it today online. You made the roster at SMU as a defensive back?
I did. I used to be way bigger. I used to be like 200 pounds. Now I weigh 180.
Also, was that, what's your heritage?
So I'm Egyptian. I'm also mixed with I'm Iranian and Afghan, but mainly Egyptian. But most people think I'm Indian. I get Indian all the time in comments.
Yeah. I know that the Big 12 is lousy with Egyptian DBs.
Yeah, that's right.
I only got in
Texas.
I only got in because of diversity, guys. I'll be honest with you.
Sure.
Well, you had to be quite a standout in high school, certainly, to get on. Did you get recruited from SMU or did you walk on?
I walked on. You know, it's crazy. I actually never played it down in football in high school. I never played it down in football in high school. When I graduated, I went to community college, and the community college didn't even have a football team. And I still wanted to play college football. And I told myself I'll find a way to play college football. I want to play Division I college football. And I was in community college. I went to a camp. I went to a camp in Long Island, New York. And I ended up playing like the best I've ever played in my life. I won the offensive and defensive MVP at the camp, and I got recruited to come at least get a tryout to go walk on at SMU. Walked on, made the team, and that's kind of how I got there.
All right, wait a minute. How was it your goal to play Division I football, but you never thought to play football in high school?
No. I was on the team. I just never played.
Oh, you just never played?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had a late growth spurt. I was like skinny. I wasn't athletic. I was really slow. And I just started working out really hard after high school into college. Wow. And yeah.
It does seem like you probably had a pretty good high school team too, I would assume.
No, we sucked. We were horrible. I mean,
you wouldn't even play.
It's New York football. You know what I'm saying? New York's not even known for football. So think of how bad that was. You know, it was a really bad team.
Yeah, Texas, Florida, California. That seems to be where many of the big time recruits come from. So then, So you attend SMU, right? And you're studying what?
Sociology, just because it was the easiest major. But it ended up being hard.
And when did the move to social influencer start?
So I did 4 years there. And then when I graduated, I realized I wasn't good enough to go to the NFL. So at the time, my sister was like, hey, you should, you're funny. You should move to LA and be an actor. So I moved to LA. I listened to her, and I was an assistant, and I was doing stand-up actually at the time. I was doing stand-up comedy, and that was just going horribly. I was doing it for about a year and a half. I was trying to act. I was trying to get a manager, agent, couldn't even get an audition, nothing. And I saw people making stuff online. And because when I first moved to LA, I think I had 300 followers. So I didn't have a social platform at all. And I saw people making stuff online. I was like, oh shit, let me try this. Maybe this will work. And it worked.
So what's the protocol? Like, I know this is going to sound like boring old guy stuff, but you're producing content for your followers, and you have 10.4 million followers, and then TikTok on TikTok, and then 2.8 followers on Instagram. So is there a schedule? Like, do you wake up every morning and go, I need to produce X amount of content for these people in order to not have them go across the street and start looking at somebody else?
Yeah. Oh, it's a full schedule. So one, I post every single day. Weekly, I'm putting out an IGTV, 3 reels, 2 pictures, 1 in-feed video. I'm posting 5 stories a day. That's just on Instagram. I'm also going live 1 hour a week just on Instagram. Then I'm posting every single day on TikTok, and I'm posting every single day on Facebook.
And do you spend I do a podcast every day, so I carry around a little notebook, and I make scribble down little notes of things that I think are funny or that I want to talk to, or things I hear on other shows. Is that how the process goes for you?
Yeah, same thing. I have a list of notes, just one-liners that I write down just throughout the day. And then when it's time to shoot, I'll go back and I'll be like, all right, I want to develop this idea out more. I'll write it out more, or I want to shoot this. And I'll write a small little 1-page script. And then when I shoot it takes about an hour, maybe 2, and then get to editing and then kind of pump it out like that.
So the one I just watched was you on an airplane, and it was you sitting in the aisle where they want to make sure you have to verbally agree to do all the tasks it takes in the emergency exit aisle, and then hijinks ensue. So that was filmed inside an airplane, but not a real airplane, one of those set airplanes, right? But
no, that was actually filmed on a real airplane.
Oh, it was? God.
No, I'm just fucking with you. No, it was a set.
But that isn't free, and then you have to have a bunch of actors work with you, and you have to light it, and you have to shoot it, and you have to edit it. I mean, are you funding all of that?
Yeah, it's a whole deal. I have a whole team of people that I've hired that I pay to, create, get the lighting. I have a producer. I have a DP. Of course, I'm directing everything and coming up with all the ideas, but I have an editor. And I mean, when I started, I was just doing the shit on my iPhone, I was doing everything on my iPhone. I was editing on iMovie on the phone. And as time went along, I just learned more. Obviously, I was able to make more money. I was doing these videos, with no money in the beginning. And as my audience grew, as I was able to make more money, of course, I put more into the content. And now I have this team and this whole system and process of how I create and post.
And is this a way to transition into doing a sitcom or a network on a network or a big budget film, or is this just its own world? Like I'm going on tomorrow will be my 3,000th podcast. And I think people think that the plan is to transition to some syndicated radio show or terrestrial radio or something, or at least they thought that for a long period of time. But I feel like, no, this is the job.
Yeah, at first, well, first off, congrats on 3,000. It's a lot. So at first, that was the plan, right? I was like, well, shit, if I have all these followers, then they're going to want to put me in a movie or they're going to want to put me in a show. Obviously, that's not the case. But as time went along, I learned more about the business and content creation. And what I'm doing now, so to say, is the dream, right? I thought at first, some of these TV shows or movies, they're not even really reaching 300,000 people, 200,000 people per movie or show. And, I'm able to reach billions of people, right? So the reason why I started was to make as many people laugh as possible, right? And it seems as what I'm doing now is doing that. And, of course, you get to A-list actors and whatnot. It's a different world. But compared to the regular working actor, being on social media is way more lucrative, way more eyeballs, and, you're your own boss.
How do you monetize it?
There's tons of ways. So the three main ways I monetize my content is one, directly off the platform, right? So like on Instagram for IGTVs, you can directly monetize through AdSense. Like they'll run ads on your videos, right? Same with YouTube, same with Facebook. TikTok as well has a creator fund where the actual platform pays you to post. So that's the first way. Second way is branded content. So I'm constantly working with top tier companies like Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Crocs, Weekly, and I'm doing branded content where I'm creating, an idea based around whatever campaign they have. And, they'll approve it, they'll pay me, I'll post it. And then thirdly is just through my own merchandise and products.
I know. I don't know. I feel like I've taken over where Larry King left off. Like I just feel like old guy asking young guy questions.
How does it work?
How does it
Are you
work?
a creator who makes content?
So everyone who watches gives you a nickel? Is that how it works? Is there a slot in their computer? Yeah, but I'm really way out of it. Like I understand how podcasting works, but I don't understand how the rest of it. Well, to be fair, I never found out how the rest of it works. It's not like I tried and I don't understand. But it's such a huge it is so massive. And I guess the question is, we're in kind of this crazy wild, wild west, but the ultimate meritocracy, which is everyone's got a phone, everyone can create content, everyone can film themselves, everyone can do whatever they want to do. But are they going to find an audience? And then how do you hang on to that audience and build that audience once you do it? And I guess that answer is never stop putting out content.
You can never stop. And don't feel so bad. There's a lot of people who do it, who don't even know themselves how to monetize their page or how to grow or how to keep an audience. Sometimes people get like big off, one gimmick, and then they become like this one-hit wonder on the internet, and then it's like it's over, right? So it's tough. It's tough to be consistent and to keep it going. But there's a lot of people who are in it who don't even know how the hell they got there. So
are your Egyptian is your heritage mostly? How big is this in that part of the world?
Yeah, actually, Cairo is one of my top cities in my demographic. I went out there last November and I did a meet and greet, and it was pretty wild. We had like 5,000 people show up. So it was pretty insane. But yeah, it's huge out there. There's 100 million people in Egypt, and they're pretty active on social media. To be honest, when you go out into like when you travel, the fandom is like even crazier out there because a lot of people, a lot of kids, they watch YouTube because it's free. They watch Instagram because it's free, and they don't necessarily have cable or pay for whatever streaming platform. So like the fans out there are really obsessed with you because that's all they watch. That's all they can watch. And then especially you don't live there. So when you go to their country, they're like, holy shit, this person actually showed up to my country. Like, so it's like triple, like, you know, I always say if you get stopped in LA, when you go anywhere else in the world, you get like, you know, mobbed.
Yeah, it's kind of made me think about the United States, which is LA's usually kind of the worst crowd and the worst audience because everyone here is over it or doesn't speak English. It's probably one or the other. But if you get outside LA, then the fans kind of appreciate it more. But I guess if you get outside of the country, they even appreciate it more than that. So for you, you talked about doing stand-up originally, and I used to it seemed like, well, that was the only thing to do. You want to do comedy, you got to do stand-up. But do you think about going back and doing stand-up? Because I went back later on in my career and did stand-up and found it rewarding.
Yeah, I definitely want to go back. I actually was trying. I had some shows planned at Laugh Factory right before the pandemic hit. So I didn't actually get back into it. And I mean, it's cool to do it now, right? Because I have an audience, you know, who I know will attend, right? But back then, like, I was doing some pretty shitty gigs, and stand-up is tough. Stand-up is really, really tough to just get your cadence right and your set right. And I bombed for sure a bunch of times. But I was ready to get back into it. I was working on a set, but you know, pandemic, it was a good excuse not to do it.
Brian?
We talk about like industries or people who've done well during the pandemic. I have to imagine, Adam, has your audience grown more than normally would during the pandemic? I imagine people being home and having time to kill on YouTube. I imagine more people would find you.
Oh yeah, this past year has been I hate to say it, but it's been the best year for me. Like literally, all you can do is really watch content on your phone, right? I mean, just for context, so I started like about 4 years ago, and I had like about 1 billion views, 1.5 billion maybe, like until 2020, right? When 2020 hit, just in 2020 alone, from January 2020 to December, I did 2.1 billion just in last year alone. And of course, a big majority of it, not only my audience was, growing regardless, but, the pandemic is just skyrocketed my views. So super thankful for that.
It's like my grandpa.
Well, not thankful for the pandemic, but
it's like my grandpa.
We understand.
My grandpa always used to say, you start at 1.5 billion views. There's only one direction to go. You gotta go.
Your grandpa was your grandpa on social media?
No, he made goulash and did calisthenics in his underwear. In
the original social media. He wrote plays.
Oh yeah, he wrote plays.
That's right.
I have a quick question just for everybody's watching this and everybody wants to do what you're doing, and they think, well, yeah, you might work really hard, and you already said the amount of content you put out in a day, but it beats my job. I could do it. Just to kind of like get everyone's head straight, how many hours a day would you say you're working on your business?
Every second. Literally every second. I have to come up with content. I have to be ahead of my content. I'm also doing like things on the side, right? Like I'm doing a short film. I'm trying to do a feature film. Even when it comes to acting, auditioning, right? I might not be booking, but I still have to do these damn auditions, right? Because my agent's making me do it. But like I can't just go and just film a self-tape and say, here you go. I have to actually put the work into like, break down the script. I'm looking at other scripts. I'm creating other stuff. So, and that's what I'm doing in my off time, right? So like from 5 a.m. all the way till damn near 11 every single day, I'm working on social media. Then on my off time, I'll stay up till like 2:30 and I'll just bang out the stuff that's not social media. So every single day, every day, every second. I don't have much of a social life, but I mean, hey, it's a really rewarding job, and I love doing it, and I love making people laugh.
You want to hang with us and do some news and just kind of jump in and crack wise?
Let's do it.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back with Adam Waheed, and we'll do the news right after this.
Give me the news with crack, news with Gina Grad, breaking, viral, weird crime, protest, politics. Give me news with Gina Grad, stuff they saw on TMZ, Joe Biden, Kamala. Meet news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, there's been a lot of top stories, obviously, in the past few days. But we need to start with what's most important. I want to make sure it's getting the attention it deserves because it really is the most important headline of the week. Face Off is getting a sequel. And Deadline has reported that a follow-up to the 1997 John Woo directed thriller is in the works. Currently remains unclear if Travolta and Cage will reprise their roles of FBI agents.
If they do, they should call it. They should call it Hair Off, where they just swap toupees.
Yeah, swap wigs.
It's believed that the parts will be recast, but I like where you're going.
You know, it's a weird. There's many weird things about that movie, and I've seen it many times. But they made some kind of ballsy choices, which is Travolta when he becomes evil because he swaps it out with Nick Cage, plows Travolta's wife. I mean, he bangs his foe's wife. Mm-hmm. He gives her good plowing. You know what I mean?
He's evil.
Yeah, he's evil, but I mean,
I don't remember that scene.
They don't. Most of the time when movie making, she would get suspicious or say "not tonight" or something like that. Now he gives it to her. Now I don't know.
Maybe he was better, so she didn't want to look a gift horse in the mouth.
Like, what's going on? Don't ask questions.
Don't you feel like most of your girlfriends who have been with a man for more than 15 years would recognize the penis of the man?
I do believe they would, yeah.
I'd like to believe they would.
Who smashed whose wife again? It was Travolta that smashed Cage's wife, or it was
Cage as Travolta.
Yes.
They switched faces.
They switched faces.
I don't remember that. Shit, I don't really.
So it was Cage donning John Travolta's face, doing the wife.
What do you not understand, Adam?
No, it makes sense now. Yeah, how do you not recognize the penis? It's like
not only the penis, but the motion of the ocean. You know,
the general build,
the position. How about just breath? You know what I mean? Because I think Cage was a smoker, certainly in that film. I feel like she would know. That's all.
Yeah, we got to suspend our disbelief, but I like Peace Off. With the toupee.
Yeah, Peace Off. They take their hairpiece off and they just swap them. It's a 40-second movie.
That's great.
I'd click play.
Well, Larry Flynt will have a funeral that mirrors the way he lived, according to reports. So he's not going quietly. The attendees will be able to enjoy the presence of strippers, alcohol, just like they're at a big party. Larry Flynt will be laid to rest I think this coming weekend, according to TMZ, which revealed in detail how this tribute's going to take place. So not even the restrictions with COVID are going to spoil this party because they're going to, do 4 to a table. They're going to socially distance. They're going to do the whole thing. In fact, it's not even a private party at all. It's open to anyone who wants to be a part of it. You got to be 21. You got to pay $50, and then you get your socially distanced strippers, and there's a cover for the funeral.
Adam, do you remember Larry Flynt?
I don't. Maybe. What does he do, or what did he do?
He was a publisher who published a magazine, Hustler. We have some horrible Hustler jokes. I was told.
Cartoons.
You can't do this with company, Adam.
Sorry. No.
I've seen that magazine. Yeah.
Yes, you have. Have you seen? All right. I announced that they had back in the day the most racist cartoons. I mean, you think Doonesbury's racist? No. The most racist cartoons ever, and we took a little dive into Hustler and found a few, but I think a few people have sent us in some of the most racist cartoons from Hustler. What'd they do?
Just
send them to you, Chris?
No, I found these ones.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And just to set the table, we're not a sensitive group here, and I don't think I'm hyperbolizing when I say these cartoons were shocking.
Yes,
horrifying.
I agree.
So this dude would have definitely got canceled if he was. He would have definitely got canceled these days.
Well, they tried to cancel him in like '74 when they shot him
with a bullet. Yeah.
A serial killer shot him.
Yes, but he bounced back.
That's how they used to cancel people back in the day.
Yes.
Now you just can't. Wow.
Yeah, now you get kicked off your platform, but he didn't have a
shot,
platform. No, he got shot. Yeah, that's when we used to cancel you with a 38. Sorry, do you have these, Max Vanna?
Oh yeah, we have three ready.
All right, like are these from the 70s or the 80s?
Oh, still unclear.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
Oh, no.
There is
my God.
a black gynecologist who delivers, or obstetrician who delivers a baby, and he delivers a white baby, and then he does a jump shot because black guys, they play basketball even when they're doctors.
Yeah,
and
they can't help it.
He
Was this before everybody was saying Kobe when they shot? How long ago was this? Or was this during that?
This is probably the 70s, maybe the early 80s, as I recall.
Look at the minstrel caricature face.
What's the caption say, Max Vanna?
Yeah, I can't
The
read
caption says, Dr. Wilson used to be with the Globetrotters.
Now he's delivering kids, but he's shooting them. he's doing a jump shot. Yeah. All right. That's good and racist.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Instead of Newton's apple.
What's with the lips?
No, this is William Tell.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The apple on the head.
Yes, but there's a watermelon on top of the head of the black person with the black person shooting.
Yeah, at least we know this was in July.
This was in July.
Hustler.
Well, it's a summer fruit, All right.
All right, and then we've one more.
I don't even know what this one is.
Chris, why don't you read this?
Oh, no. Read the caption.
We thanks the Lord for food and sex, but Mosley for dem welfare checks. Amen.
Dawson, you shouldn't be laughing.
And there's a
in the
giant
background.
rat on the table.
Oh, they cooked a rat. It's a black family. All right. I told you guys Hustler was racist.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
That's pretty rough. No one said anything at the time. And again, these were semi-modern times. This is 70s, 80s, probably even. All right.
Post-civil rights movement.
Oh, yes.
For sure.
Oh, yes. Well, they'd always say we've come a long way, but we got a lot more work to do. Maybe they were talking about Hustler and Larry Flynt.
Don't you feel stupid, Adam?
Anyway, he's going to be missed. That's the point.
Well, you mentioned Larry King earlier, so let's talk about Larry, the late Larry, right now. His widow has claimed she was blindsided to learn that he left a handwritten amendment in his will that completely wrote her out of an inheritance, according to the Daily Mail. So King reportedly added the note in 2019, advising for an even split of his $2 million estate to his 5 children in the event of his death. It would have been written 2 months after he filed for divorce from his 7th wife, Sean, who said she will now go to court to fight for her share, as she claims that King could have been pressured to change it. And by the way, Andy and Chaya, 2 of his children, both died last year. So that also changes things. They were married for 22 years. That's the longest of any of his 8 marriages. Filed for divorce in August of 2019, had not been settled in court. But I checked another source and it didn't give them a number, but $2 million?
Thank you, Gina. I was just about to say, Larry King had a $2 million estate. He'd been divorced 7 times, so understandable, but 22 years with the same woman. I don't know. Larry took good care of his money.
Yeah, way too much soup.
Way too much matzo brie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It was funny. I mean, not funny, but sad when you realize that 2 of his kids died before he did. And then I heard someone say, that's right, he died of a broken heart. So, when you're 87, it could be plaque in your arteries as well. Hey, Adam, do you know who Larry King is? Or
I think I've heard of him. No, I'm just kidding. I know Larry King. I know Larry King for sure. The guy from CNN.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I looked random. I mean, I did already, but just for you guys, looking on Fox right now, it says 2 million. Looked at page 6, it says 2 million. You think that might actually be the story?
Maybe he had money hidden. Maybe his money's hidden somewhere. Maybe somewhere in the CNN office, somewhere.
Right.
He might have stashed off some money.
I think there was one marriage or one woman that he married twice, because it's he was married 8 times. So that might bleed you.
Does the second married twice? Does it ever work? I mean, to the same person.
Did do that too?
Yeah, Hefner. Hefner married. I guess he married 2 women. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, not Larry King, but
Hefner's a bad example.
The Hefner thing, when you try to remember, he's carrying the whole thing into the very last years where he had the little harem following him around of the beach of the peroxide blondes, 23-year-olds who Hefner was married 3 times.
And he had movie night, and he showed like an old movie, and these fucking bitches would be so bored.
Right, like the Maltese Falcon. You guys don't know?
It happened one night.
Good news, ladies.
Oh, great.
We got an A-lister coming to watch it with us. Mr. Don Adams. Okay? Don Adams. Get smart. Hello.
Oh, he's the one from Miami Vice. He was kind of hot, I guess.
No, that's Don Johnson.
Oh.
He's not allowed here anymore. This is the Don Adams, one of the greatest comedians who hasn't worked in 41 years.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I'm glad to say I went to the Playboy Mansion a couple times.
Yeah,
it's fun.
That's epic. That's epic.
And
it's still open. People are still going, right?
Well,
I don't know.
Remember, I believe the story was when he was really close to like checking out, they were selling the mansion, and one caveat was you had to let Hef live there until his demise. So I can't remember who took it over, but I don't think they're allowed to, destroy it and totally re-renovate it. I think it's like, like a historical landmark. Mm-hmm. So it'll still be the mansion, but I mean, who knows if you're even allowed to go.
Think of all the macaques that we displaced.
and not flamingos, peacocks.
Peacocks, yeah.
So Ashley Judd has a harrowing story that she just did an interview about. She survived a 55-hour ordeal in Africa after she tripped and shattered her leg in 4 places. She explained this to a New York Times columnist, Nicholas Kristof, on an interview he did with her. She said she was in ICU trauma in South Africa, which when she was taken from the Congo, which is a country that's not equipped to deal with a catastrophic injury like shattering your leg. So she went on to say that the disaster insurance allowed her to get an operating table in South Africa. And I'm going to let you hear from her in a second. But here's why she was there, and here's what happened. So she's tracking bonobos at night in the Congolese rainforest, and she tripped over a fallen tree. She said she spent 5 hours lying on the forest floor. A team carried her out of the forest by hammock. That took an hour. She says she slipped in and out of consciousness. They evacuated Judd by motorcycle to the nearest town with an airport. There she waited 6 hours for a medical flight to South Africa. So my thought was, motorcycle, you say? So I found that part in the interview, and she shed some light on that.
All right.
And then comes the motorbike ride, and when Martin said, who's going to ride with Ashley on the motorbike, it took courage for someone to do that with me, because they had to physically hold me up. It was one man driving and then one man sitting behind me. And I said, I'd like a man of God. And so Maradona, who's one of my buddies, we talk about polygamy versus monogamy all the time. That's our favorite chat.
Fun.
And so Maradona got on the bike. He had to hold my leg, and I had to physically hold the top part of my shattered tibia together. And we did that for 6 hours.
What are bonobos?
Sheesh.
Monkeys.
Yeah.
Monkeys? Why was she tracking them?
I think that's like her cause, like, saving them.
Frightening monkeys?
Frightening monkeys. I feel like just trying to explain that to you with without looking down. I felt like the Bluth family in Arrested Development with Portia de Rossi. Well, I'm trying to help the wetlands. What are you trying to do? Dry them? Leave them.
So she's tracking monkeys.
Yeah, tracking bonobos.
To save them, I guess. Yeah. And when she gets them, is she put like a collar on them, or does she tag them?
Tag them?
She's with a team that do this in the Congolese rainforest, and she wants to lend her celebrity to what these people are already doing. So she went with them and shattered her leg and made and destroyed their trip.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Right.
Yeah, I guess you got to kind of think about where you're going and the closest hospital and the closest place you could get any help, and that's a long ways. How different are those sisters? I mean, she's got the
Naomi,
Judd sisters.
Winona, or who's the mom?
Well, Naomi was the mom.
Naomi's the mom. A lot of Judd range there, right?
Yeah.
Didn't she give the insane Women's March speech?
She gave a Women's March speech.
That was unhinged?
It was theatrical.
Did you have, Max, you can find that. Look, I don't believe in karma, but if you're going to be that unhinged, I don't know. Maybe you do slip on a mossy rock while tracking bonobos in the rainforest. I don't know. Could be payback's a bitch. But, yeah, she gave a crazy, I think it was the 1 million, or I don't know how many, but the Women's March. What happened with the Women's March, Gina?
What happened?
You guys land on your feet, or there's still work to do, or how? What do we need to fix here?
Yeah, I think we're good.
You're
I
good?
think we did it. Yeah.
I still think there's a long way to go.
Well, we've come a long way, baby.
Yes, you have.
Ashley Judd also did a TED Talk about being trolled online, and it is jarring because she opens it, but you don't know really what she's doing at first. She opens it just firing off things that have been said about her, but she doesn't put it in any context. So she gets on stage and she's like, I'd fuck the shit out of Ashley Judd. I wouldn't even rape her. And you're like, what are you talking? Please don't get that.
She read them in first. She read them in first person.
Well, she didn't even read them. She's like performing them in a TED Talk.
Oh, wow.
And it's very, very jarring. And I guess that was the point.
Is she working in Hollywood? Does she have a career?
She's working in the Congolese rainforest.
The Congolese rainforest.
To answer your question,
not anymore.
I can't remember the last thing she was in as an
issue.
actress.
But this was a Weinstein issue too, right?
Oh, yeah, she was in on the Weinstein
she was
thing.
involved in the
That she was a little not, whether it's blackballed or. She definitely had her grievance against why she hadn't been working.
I think, look, let's be realistic here. You can age out of Hollywood. You can age out of, especially if you were, I don't want to say trading on your looks, but she was such a beautiful young actress, and she probably got a lot of work based on her aesthetic, and the aesthetic has gone away to some degree, and that's how Hollywood works. So it's always hard to tell if you're actually being blackballed or not, but maybe it's a little bit of each. Max, Pat, do you have that? Or Gina can move on to her next.
Yeah,
real quick. She said one of the reasons for telling her story was to share the conservation work she does involving bonobos. So that's her thing.
Mm-hmm. Good. All right. Well, she'll be back.
Yeah.
I think. Sorry, do you have it, Max Spada?
Own genes, but yeah, I'm a nasty woman. A loud, vulgar, proud woman. I'm not nasty. Like the combo of Trump and Pence being served up to me in my voting booth. I'm nasty like the battles my grandmothers fought to get me into that voting booth. I'm nasty. Like the fight for wage equality. Scarlett Johansson, why were the female actors paid less than half of what the male actors earned last year? See, even when we do go into higher paying jobs, our wages are still cut with blades sharpened by testosterone. Why is the work of a black woman and a Hispanic woman worth only 63 and 54 cents of a white man?
Yeah. I wish I was half as being into a dude as she is into being a chick. You know what I mean? My lament is I'm sort of lukewarm on being a heterosexual dude. I just don't feel like
why did she perform that like it was like a WWE monologue?
Oh,
wow. Flying on the back row.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that sounded like straight out of WWE.
It was her performance.
She's inspired. All right, let's do another, Gina Grad.
Oh, good. Well, we haven't seen the last of Rachel Dolezal, but she kind of feels like she has. So she's gained fame, 6 years ago, basically. She posed as a black woman.
Has it been 6 years?
Yeah, 6 years.
Wow.
God. She was exposed as a fraud by her parents. who now say, and now she says she can't find a job. She can't find a job doing anything. She appeared on the Tamron Hall show to tell her that she still can't get work due to, the way she was exposed. Back in 2015, Dolezal, then living in Spokane, Washington, was serving as president of the local NAACP chapter while working as a professor of African studies at Eastern Washington University until her white parents outed her for being a white woman and a fraud within the Black community. Here's a clip of Rachel talking to Tamron about what she's been doing the last 6 years. And wait, sorry, before you play it, her hair is in full braids. She has a map of Africa behind her and an African painting as well.
I'm still pressing forward, but it has been really tough for sure. Having not had a job for 6 years, I've had to create my own job and find ways to provide for my children through braiding hair, through grant writing to bring funds into marginalized communities and Black-owned businesses and nonprofits, through painting, through doing pep talks on cameo.com. So it's definitely been a long 6 years, but I really strongly believe that, as a person, you have to just continue to be who you are. And, you can't change who you are.
Well, I think
Tamron goes,
wait a minute.
I think her
Tamron
parents would
addresses
beg to
that.
differ. Yes, go ahead.
Tamron addresses it. She goes, you can, you did, but then the conversation devolved, so it wasn't worth.
See, this is where, there used to be a thriving porn industry. And for anyone, male or female, that had been sort of chewed up and spat out by society or disgraced, there was always a payday. Right. There was just that payday, which is doing your porn movie. If you were John Wayne Bobbitt and you got your dick cut off by your wife, don't worry, there was one more payday for you. You may not have been employable in corporate America, but porn, the good folks at Vivid would give you a job. And there was always that out. There was always that. If this was 20 years ago, she would have got offered a decent porn contract for like a one-off porn. And we would have had to watch just out of curiosity, right? And they would have worked a big theme in. They definitely would have had a Black guy in there. And she would have kept the map up behind her and kept the cornrows and everything. So there was this payday. I don't think there's a porn payday anymore.
Yeah.
Not
since Octomom.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Did Octomom do a porn?
I'm all...
Nadia Suleiman, hold on.
I think she did.
Well, it sounds kind of familiar, and that's what it was. Like we had
Or she was at least offered. I remember that was the story at the time.
Octomom Nadia Suleiman, who turned to porn to make ends meet.
Yes.
There was the name of the porn is Make Ends Meet.
They had you, no matter what happened, at some point when the wheels came off the wagon, you had a golden parachute filled with jizz known as the porn industry. But no longer. I don't think that exists anymore.
I don't only fans, I guess. History. Oh, yeah, OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah, that's where we're at now. OnlyFans.
Yeah, you got to go to OnlyFans. And right. Yeah. And what goes on at OnlyFans? Like,
don't act like you don't know.
Well,
yeah, you know.
It's always like recipes for gazpacho, and I can make waffles shaped as hearts. But it's like you're diddling yourself, right?
There actually is some of that stuff on there. Like, there's girls who will, like, you know, say that this is what they're. Well, once you sign up, that's what you get, you know. But they hit you with the reroute.
So what are you talking about, Adam? What do you mean?
Spell it out.
Like they'll post like, you know, like a picture of them, like, you know, like they're about to get naked or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you sign up and you pay, and then it's them like, you know, giving you a day in the life or like a behind the scenes of what they do, and you're like, oh, come on.
The old masturbate and switch.
Right.
I gotta write this down.
I don't know personally, but I've heard from people that's what they do.
That could be a potential move for me.
Oh yeah.
You hit them with the bait and switch.
I like
Works
that.
every time.
You're leaving money on the table, Gina.
That's absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all are.
Yeah, and speaking of that, there's dude OnlyFans.
Oh yeah, they make.
There's
one of my buddies
stars.
makes like $100K a month off OnlyFans.
Really?
What does he have to do?
Yeah, what's he have to do?
I mean, he's getting down and dirty. I mean, for sure. But
for him.
I mean, he's making like $100K a month.
Is it
just off that?
But it's for dudes, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. See, that's the other thing. You have to be comfortable with that because like his main demo is all guys. You know, girls aren't going to pay.
Right.
But back in the day when shit was open and Gina was fun, you go dance at the Abbey all night, and a lot of those bartenders and like go-go dancers are not gay.
Oh,
or at least that's the rumor. But you make really good money, flirting it up and having a good night.
I mean, he's not gay. That's the thing. So
right.
He knows what's up.
Does he?
He's shrewd.
Does he have to pretend like he's gay?
I think where you make the majority of your money is like you pay like monthly, right, for the person, right? But you really make your money in private messaging because you could like charge them anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you like pay, and then you're paying before you even open up the message. So if you're like, hey, let me see a picture of your feet or something, right? Then they pay like this much, and then you send them the picture. So I don't think he's playing along with I think he's just giving them what they want. I don't think they're asking him to do like specific gay things, just like shirtless pics or whatever it is. I don't know.
This is good because I'm on Cameo. It's like, hey, happy birthday, whatever. And there are dudes that are like, can you wear something green? And can you tilt the camera down? I'm like, I don't do that. But I am leaving money on the table. OnlyFans, I'll wear green for you. I'll call you the naughty boy. What
you got green in the background right now.
That's right. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Throw it on.
Yeah, I guess this is kind of the new world order, but you have to have, well, maybe Ashley Judd will, and after she heals, will end up doing that.
Because she is a nasty woman.
Yeah, man. She's got chops. All right, let's do one more, Gina Grant.
All right. Well, remember that horrific commercial that we spent way too much time on because we just couldn't stop from the Super Bowl, the Oatly commercial, the Oatly milk, the guy and the wow, no cow, wow, whatever.
Yes.
Well, the creative team behind Oatly has a little bit of a sense of humor, I guess. Fox News reports that in less than 24 hours, the vegan-friendly milk company designed a shirt referencing the ad. It went on the website and it totally sold out. I think we have a picture of it. It's a white short sleeve T-shirt featuring the company's CEO. And it says, I totally hated that Oatly commercial. Now everyone's divided on if it was good or bad, but it was $28 and sold out in less than 24 hours.
Is he doing like kind of a Brian Bosworth here, where it's like he knowingly created this to stir up controversy, and now we're all talking about it? So, Brian Bosworth created this sort of bigger than life, college football linebacker, the Boz thing. And I think he would sell T-shirts like at the game that were anti.
Yeah, Boz sucks.
Boz sucks.
Oh, really?
He'd be selling the Boz sucks shirts.
As it pertains to Super Bowl, pertains to Super Bowl commercials, you either want to be the very easy formula they stumbled upon is you want to either be the best or the worst according to the ad meters, right?
Right.
Like because the next day on all the morning shows all around the country and now podcasts, they'll be about, well, this one was considered the best and this one was considered the worst. Let's hear it, and then you're going to get your commercial played on every for free or discussed or whatever, and your name thrown out there on every talk show.
And I couldn't tell you for $1 million what the best commercial was of, 2017, but I can tell you what a puppy monkey baby is.
Yeah, you don't want to be caught in the middle. 4 years ago.
By the way, this guy looks like absolute date rape, and I'm sure he's not, but that is one of the scariest pictures I've ever seen.
Oh,
in
Brian
my life.
Bosworth?
Yeah,
the Boz. He's
was
the greatest.
Was he a scary dude or a nice guy? Because he looks really scary.
This persona was kind of tough guy. He was in a movie, Adam. What was this movie? He was like a motorcycle tough guy or something.
He was
right.
I think he was a cop near the edge who played by some of the rules. I think that's how it was described.
He picked and chose his own rules.
Yes, his name was Dirk Noncommittal, and he didn't play by all the rules, but he played by some of the rules. He was like in Stone Cold or something. Like he had a TV show for a while, and he also had a cop show where Stone Cold. I'm right. You asked me my son's middle name. I have no fucking idea, but I know the Boz was Stone Cold.
Ooh, it says a cop who enforces his own brand of justice.
That's right. That's right. And had to infiltrate a biker gang to bust, the gang that was running meth, and he had to infiltrate. It's so perfect.
I would just call him not Dolph Lundgren. He's the other one. Like, look at him.
Yes. Yeah, it's the
Strong
Boz.
chin.
Yeah. He was he created this amazing character for himself. I had some decent years in the NFL. You know, wasn't a bust.
Oh, he was a stud in college. Like he was like a 2-time All-American. Like he was a real stud.
He was a full stud in college, and people sort of think of him as a bust in the NFL, but he was around for 8 or 10 years and played okay. And, you know, he wasn't a bust. It's just he was such a phenom in college that when he got to the NFL, people are like, he's not a phenom anymore. Right. There's like a famous thing that he gets a lot of crap for, which is he was run over by Bo Jackson, you know, in the NFL. But I mean, wasn't really run over. It's like Bo Jackson is one of the greatest specimens ever created by God. Like, here's a guy with world-class speed who could hit a baseball 475 feet, who could outrun at 240 pounds. He could outrun every DB in the league who had world-class speed. I mean, Bo Jackson was a force of nature. And Brian Bosworth kind of hit him at an angle on the goal line, and Bo Jackson went into the end zone. It's like Bo Jackson runs over Brian Bosworth. Like, there's not an individual on the planet who could stop Bo Jackson with a head of steam in his prime heading for the goal line. There's not a human being.
Yeah, not to take anything away from Bo Jackson, one of the greatest, like I said, physical specimens of all time. Bo had the ankle, but Bo was going to run over anybody who was in his way.
Yeah, there's no, if 2 or 3 guys got to Bo at the goal line, maybe, but the angle he was at and Boz, not a chance any human being was going to stop Bo Jackson.
Adam, I hate to disagree with you. Brian Bosworth, 3 years in the NFL, combined 24 games. So he was.
Oh, he only played 3 years?
That's what it says on Football Reference.
Oh, I guess I know he jacked his shoulder up, so maybe it got cut short. I thought he had a few more years in there. It's all with Seattle, I guess.
Yeah, 24 games combined, not even 2 full seasons.
Yeah, there's a story, too, where he trash-talked John Elway, so before the Denver
played
game,
into the persona, for sure.
Yeah, before the Denver game, 10,000 Denver fans wore $15 T-shirts reading, "What's a Bosworth? Nothing." But they didn't know that Bosworth's company manufactured those shirts.
Yeah, he's
I
genius.
love this guy.
Stone cold, Gina.
Yes.
Geez, only 3 years in the league. I thought he played more. I stand corrected. Yeah, he injured his shoulder. Also, Seattle's such a weird place for Bosworth to go because he was such a big Sooner college guy. He was Oklahoma Sooner, and it was
tough guy, villain type almost.
Weird. Seattle had to be one of the weirdest places ever for that guy to end up, but he did. All right, shall we bring it home, Gina Grad?
Let's do it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.
Well, Adam Waheed, everyone, the film Tribes is available now on YouTube, and you can also go to the website, youtube.com/AdamW, and Instagram and TikTok at AdamW as well. Thanks for joining us, Adam.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Continued success, and keep fighting the good fight. All right, last but not least, there is Geico. Do you rent your home? Well, you got to do one or the other. And then there's your automotive policy. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners and renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around the house. Just go to geico.com, get a quote, see just how much you could save. Geico makes it easy. Visit geico.com today and bundle up with geico.com. All right, I want to thank Ross Novie for joining us and talking sanely about reopening schools. You can go to laschooluprising.com. And until, Oklahoma City, Bricktown Comedy Club, coming up February 26th, 27th. They're doing live pods there and stand-up as well. So, 3,000th show tomorrow. Doug Ellen, creator of Entourage, my favorite on tomorrow. So until next time, this is Adam Carolla for Adam Waheed and Ross Novie. Gina Grad and Ball Bryant saying mahalo.